Welcome to Crime Files TikTok compilations, where true horror lives and nothing is fiction. Case: Emily Long, 34. After learning her husband Ryan had terminal brain cancer, her grief twisted into violence. She murdered her entire family. Here we reveal chilling clips and real crimes that expose the darkest corners of the human mind. This isn't entertainment. It's raw. It's unsettling. It's a warning.
Hi. It's the long-awaited update that everyone's been waiting for, that I haven't been avoiding giving. Things really got crazy, so I just haven't had time yet. And like, as annoying as this is going to be like a multi-part little series because there's like so many pieces that go into like where we ended up this morning, basically. So I wanted to like talk about this weekend, last week, and like kind of how we got to where we are. And basically like we really struggled last week. So personally, obviously it's no secret, based on my last video, I have been having a really hard time. Like, I have felt very lost. I felt very alone. I felt very overwhelmed. I felt like this is just too much. Like, I can't function this way. The unknown has been really hard for me. The fear, the grief, everything has been just like culminating into like absolute, it just has felt like a cinder block on my chest. Like, I just haven't been doing very well. I think the other part that leads into that is that the kids are also not doing great. They're not like crying all the time and whatever, like as adults might show depression or sadness, but like there's a lot of talk about death. There's a lot, I can see my son, my oldest, worrying. I see him looking at my husband and watching and wondering and saying, you know, to his younger siblings, like, oh, don't do that because daddy doesn't feel good, or just I see the weight that he's carrying, and that has been really hard. My daughter has just been showing signs of grief, and then my youngest has not forgotten. He still lives in our house, but he's asking less about his dad, and it's just hard. You know, they're coming into bed at night and asking if we can go into our guest room and sleep together. They're attached to me like Velcro. I couldn't tell you the last time I was alone. They just are they need to snuggle all weekend long. It was snuggle, 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 which is great. I love it. But I know the reason behind it, so it's upsetting. We didn't do anything with anyone all weekend except for my parents and my mother-in-law, because they were so attached to me. And then my husband, leading up to it, last week we saw an uptick in seizure activity, some focal, some otherwise, a lot of cramping, which can be a mask of a seizure, so much fatigue, irritability, like you name it. And we were on 2 milligrams of dexamethasone, and they dropped him down to 1. He was like, I need to go back up, based on side effects. So he went back to 1.5, and he was like, I just want to be on 2. Like, I felt better that way. And they're like, we really want to taper you off. We don't want you to be on steroids forever. So we went to 1.5, and he was on Vimpat, and that was it. And we were trying to kind of just push through it, and I could just tell he wasn't himself. And it's just been a really hard last 2 weeks for everyone in so many different ways. And that's hard because I'm trying to keep everyone together. I'm barely holding it together myself. I want to just erupt and like run away. and everyone's struggling for different reasons. So I'm trying to keep my kids together. I'm trying to keep myself together. I'm trying to keep my husband feeling good. And I'm trying to figure out what's the dosage that's right for him right now. Like, is it swelling? Is it tumor? What are we working with here? So leading up to everything that happened in like the last 48, 72 hours, like everything prior to that is like foreshadowing. And I've learned a lot from everything that happened. Like of symptom management, symptom monitoring. I've learned a lot about meds. And like just seeing our family unit kind of start to crumble, and like I'm trying to pick the pieces up, but it just feels really heavy and it feels really stressful. And 5 days ago I made a video about how I feel like I'm disintegrating, and like that hadn't changed because it was only getting worse. So we were already in a tough place. And then like it all went to hell basically. Okay, hopefully the last part, I'm sorry, I hope that you're all still on this journey with me, because this is the juiciest part, which is why everyone's here. So we did the MRI on Sunday, and I learned a lesson, which I won't change my behavior, but I learned that it's upsetting, is that they send the MRI results before your appointment. So we got the MRI results, and from what I saw, so like if this isn't the side of my husband's brain, this is his brain. The tumor was right here. This is like his face. It was right here. It was big. And they removed it. It was a lot of cyst liquid and then tumor all the way around the cystine liquid. So it was right up here. I saw the MRI results, and there looked like a big white mass, and it was right around here. So in radiation with this standard of care, there's something called proton radiation, which is very targeted, and it's very specific, and they're targeting one area, one tumor, one very small area. For standard of care with glioblastoma, they don't want to do that. And the reason is because glioblastoma is so aggressive that if there's one cancer cell left, which there will always be, and that's important to understand, the cancer is going to come back, and it's going to come back full force. So they want to do radiation with like, it's called spray or a radiation field, where they do outliers, a big outlier of radiation on this one area. So that way they are getting anything that's around it that could be cancer. But because of that, it's really hard on the brain, because they are targeting areas that are not sick, that are not unwell. And that part of the brain is like, what the fuck, why are you doing this to me? And the other piece to understand is that there's something called the blood-brain barrier. And that is the reason that brain cancer is so hard to treat, because the brain has developed this system to protect itself. But in doing so, it's preventing itself from being healed from this cancer. It's very hard to penetrate the blood-brain barrier. So my husband has really struggled the last 4 weeks, the last 2 weeks of radiation, actually 6 weeks, the last 2 weeks of radiation, and then the 4 weeks post-radiation. He has had seizures. He has been exhausted. He has had to go up and down on doses of stuff as we've figured it out, because there's no exact science to it. So we had the MRI on Sunday. I saw this tumor, what I thought was a tumor, and it looked dense. It looked in a different spot, and it was very scary for me. In my mind, I had convinced myself he has an entire huge new mass in addition to the 2 tumors he already has, because the tumor in his original spot has grown back. It's small compared to what it was, but it has grown back. And then he has a secondary spot already, and the radiation does not shrink the tumor size. It just is supposed to halt growth. So yesterday we were supposed to go in the afternoon to Boston for our MRI follow-up. And we were not excited, but I was excited to go and talk about it. And regardless of whatever the outcome was, I'm prepared for the worst. I was ready to leave with a plan of action, whether it was continue on standard of care, go back to the drawing board, have another surgery, whatever it may be, because in my mind, I saw that new tumor. I figured we were in a worse spot than we were before. And like, it just all went to shit. So I was doing a couple of things for work in the morning, and then I had just pulled into the grocery store parking lot right by our house, about 5 minutes regular drive to our house. And I want to tote on an app that I think is essential to anybody who has glioblastoma or has seizures at all. This app has changed our life, and it saved my husband yesterday. So it's called Epicenter, EPICENTER. And it is an app that my husband has on his Apple Watch, and it is a seizure app. So sometimes I do get false alarms when he has a spike in blood pressure or heart rate, but he's able to deactivate them if they're not an emergency. But it alerted me that my husband was having a seizure. I got an alarm on my phone that said my husband's name, shaking. So I instantly called him, and also the app also calls you. So I get the alert, my husband is shaking. I get a phone call and it says my husband's name, John Smith, needs help. John Smith needs help. John Smith needs help. And then it hangs up. So it gives you 2 alerts, and it is constant. So because I had gotten a couple of false alarms before, I called him and he didn't answer. I peeled out of that parking lot. I got there in, I think, 3 minutes. I 75 down my small town road. Sorry to anyone that was on a walk. If you saw me, now you know why. I got there so fast. As I'm driving there, I called 911 because whether he was having a seizure or not, fine. If he wasn't and it was a false alarm, okay, that's fine. I'll get there and I'll tell them I'm so sorry it was a false alarm. I call 911. Dispatch is getting everyone going. And I run into the house. I'm calling him, husband, husband, husband. Not answering. I go upstairs. He's not in our bedroom. And then I see he has his own bathroom. The light is on in there. And I said, husband. And he said, yeah. And I said, oh my God, I thought you were having a seizure. And he said, I am. He was coming out of his seizure and he was able to communicate to me that he was. But the hard part is that he had realized he was having a seizure in the bathroom and laid himself down, but he was blocking the door. So I had to shove the door in. I got in there and I was able to help him. I'm holding his hand. I'm telling him it's okay. I have my hand on the back of his head. And I'm talking to 911 and you know, I'm saying, you're okay, you're safe, I'm here. But like, there is nothing worse than seeing your partner having a seizure. And he was at the tail end of it, and it still haunts me to this day. So because we live in a small town and I'm from this town, my husband has lived here for a long time, we are so lucky that we know so many people. So like, for example, one of our very good friends is a firefighter in the next town over. Because I was on the phone with 911, I didn't see his text to me, and he said, Em, I'm coming to your house. I heard the call. I'm on my way. I'm going to beat the EMTs. And like, I just can't. Like, I can't explain to you how much it meant to me that, like, I'm scared. And the bathroom we were in was hot, and my husband was like, I need to get out of this bathroom. It's too hot. So I'm trying to lift him, and I'm lifting dead weight because he just had a seizure, and I'm trying to move him, and I'm trying to get the door open and whatever. And I just hear our friend's voice, Em, I'm here, where are you? And I'm like, I'm right here. And to see our friend in his firefighter uniform walk in and like the relief I felt, like, okay, help is here. Like, we're going to be okay. And he was like, I got it. Just step away for a second. And he took over and he did. I just, like, I can't be more thankful. So then our chief of police comes, our chief of fire comes. We live in a very small town. All of our EMTs came, who've helped my husband before with his last seizure. I've gone to high school with some of them. It was a full house. I'm just so thankful that they were so responsive and they were so helpful. So I'm gonna have to do another part. I'm so sorry. But I just think that that app saved us, because if we didn't have that app, I would never have known. I would have been grocery shopping, like living my best life. And he would have been in that hot, small bathroom. He couldn't reach his phone. It was away. Who knows how long he would have sat there. Would he have had another seizure from the heat? I don't know. There's just so many factors that go into it that will keep me up for the rest of my life. So if you have anybody who has seizures, get them an Apple Watch and get them this app. I'm telling you, it saved my husband's life. And I'm so thankful for this app because it let me know. And I was there before the EMTs because I was so close. So, sorry, stay tuned for the next part. Oh, there's a bug. Okay. Part 4. So, the EMTs came. They got my husband. I called the Boston team because we were supposed to leave at I was going to leave at 1:30, but we could leave by 2 and still be there in time for labs and all the appointments. I called them and I was like, do you want them to take him to the ER or do you want to just have him come? And we decided as a group that they would take him to the ER and that we would go from there. So they took him downstairs. It's just hard to see the person you love have to be helped downstairs, get him on the stretcher, get him onto the ambulance, and then go away. And thankfully, obviously, our friend was there and he was the most amazing support person for me because I wanted to crumble into a ball and die. But he was there for me. They took him away. I was able to talk to this is totally separate. I was able to talk to our chief of police and our chief of fire and just say, I would like to do an exercise with our kids where they call 911 and someone from our town asks them the questions dispatch would ask them, explains to them how to behave, to be calm. Not that my husband is going to be alone with them, but God, should it ever happen and he does have a seizure, they'll know not to be scared and they'll know what to do. So stay tuned for that because we're doing that next week. So they took him to the hospital. I grabbed clothes and I went to the hospital and I was very explicit. I need us to be out of here by 2 p.m. Please, I'm begging you. It was 12:15. So at first they were all no, there's no way. I bamboozled them into expediting the CT. They expedited the CT. There was no bleeding. Our ER doctor saw my husband's MRI, and I guess it was a blessing and a curse because obviously he doesn't know what we're going through and he doesn't understand our course of treatment. So he saw the MRI and he sees tumors and swelling and he's this guy's brain is fucked up. This guy needs to go to Boston. So he came in. So I already think he has a new tumor. This guy comes in and says, I'm discharging you immediately so you guys can get to Boston because I think you need to talk to your team about your MRI. I'm very concerned about it. So I see a new tumor. This ER doctor says this lesion is larger. It's growing compared to your previous MRI. You need to go. They discharge us and we go to Boston. We're anxious the whole time, the whole drive up. I'm listening to, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Armchair Expert. We listen to Armchair Anonymous when we're stressed to alleviate some of the stress. It's kind of humorous and humanity. So we were listening to that, trying to forget. And we get to Boston and we meet with the team. So we had the last appointment of the day. And my feeling is either have the first or the last. And I used to want the first so we could get it over with, but I only want the last appointment of the day from now on because we were able to have so much time with our team. We talked to them for over an hour, which I think is an anomaly. I don't think that many neuro-oncologists give that much time. But I had 16,000 questions and I wasn't letting her leave, so regardless, it doesn't really matter. But our finding from the MRI is that the swelling is so severe that they couldn't decipher tumor from swelling with confidence. And that is really important to note. So she said, I can't tell if the tumors are larger. I can't tell if they've halted growth. I can't tell anything because the swelling is so severe. And she showed it to us, and it crossed midline. It was the entire side of his left brain, and it was overwhelming. So I'm not surprised that he's having seizures, that he's exhausted, that he's experiencing all of these symptoms, because she said the swelling was so bad. So because of that, we have increased his Vimpat. We added a second anti-seizure med called Onfi, which is similar to like an Ativan. So he'll take that at night because it can make you really tired. And we have increased his Dex dose to 4 milligrams, and in hopes that it will reduce the swelling and that his seizures will stop. We're hoping. But we are supposed to go back every 2 months at this point for MRIs. She said she doesn't feel safe or comfortable with that, and she would like us to come back in a month. So our goal for the next month is to reduce swelling. And like, it's anybody's game. Like, there's nothing we can do. You can't drink extra water and reduce swelling. Like, it is time, rest, Western medicine, and hopes. So if you have another alternative, please send it, because I'll do anything. It was very alarming to see the swelling and to see how it's affected him so greatly. But I will say, even just being on the 4 milligrams of Dex, like, he feels it big time. So we're going to do that for a week, and then we're going to start to taper down. And I know he can't wait to taper down, because this is really hard for him. So we left Boston after asking a million bajillion questions, mostly for me. We just talked about, I want to list some of the questions actually, because I think they're important. I asked questions like, at what point, if he has more seizures, do I not need him to go to the ER? When can he stay home? What signs and symptoms should I be looking out for now that we're going to start chemo again, which we're starting the chemo pill next week, which is very tolerable, but what are the signs and symptoms that are concerning? Because obviously seizures right now are a sign of swelling. Is there a point where they're a sign of tumor? What can we do as far as preparing the kids? Is there a likelihood that he could pass away from a seizure? What are our next steps as far as clinical trials? Like, there was a million questions that I asked. What about the regimen of the new chemo? Because it's not every day like it was before. It's 5 days of a more condensed high dose chemo, 23 days off. There's lots of labs involved. There's lots of follow-ups involved. There's just a lot of things that go into it. So we were able to ask all of our questions, and I'm so thankful. Like, I love our team so much. I love our doctor. I love our nurse. I know that they're human. They make mistakes. They've made mistakes on prescriptions and little things like that, but that's okay. But I want to say that that's okay. It's not okay for people to make mistakes on dosing, medications, and things like that. It has worked for us because I am so neurotic. I know every single dose of his medicine. Every time it changes, I have it memorized. And I write it down, and I have a document, and I have a whole template. And I think that that's really important. If you are a person with glioblastoma and you are alone, you do not have a caregiver that goes to appointments with you, you need to write things down, and you need to question it if you're not 100% sure. That is very important. And my husband is lucky that he has me, because I'm on top of it 1,500%. Sorry. I feel passionately about it. But we left the appointment. We got the meds we needed, and we stopped for dinner on our way home. We haven't had dinner alone since his tumor was found. So April, whatever. And then we went home and we snugged with our kids and we went to bed. And it was very hard, but I'm glad that we have a plan. And in 1 month, I will have a better update. But I also wanted to shout out my parents who stepped into this role of secondary caregiver and secondary parents without even questioning it, and they do everything I could ever ask them for and more. They love my kids more than anything. My kids feel no missteps if we're not there. My parents are very comforting to them. I want to shout out my friends and my family. I posted a video earlier about how everyone in my community showed up. Our neighbors, my friends from California. We are so fucking lucky to have every single one of you guys and this community. I just am so thankful. I feel no shortage of love and support, and I know that random people on here, if I messaged any single one of you and said I need someone to talk to, I know that you guys would be there for me. So I just wanted to say thank you. And while this whole thing sucks, it has been so heartwarming to see how loved we are, and there's like nothing that can replace that. So we're on to the future, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to have a plan that's going to be even better in a month. I've literally tried to make this video at least 4 times. My dogs keep eating, drinking water, burping, coughing, like Neanderthals. But I was having one of those days today where it just was like a glaring reminder of how overwhelmed I feel, and that there's going to be so many road bumps that are going to come my way that I'm not equipped to handle and I'm not ready to handle. And today was like the prime example of that. So we got our class assignments for our kids today for elementary school, and my daughter is going into 1st grade this year, and she had a really tough year last year. She really struggled academically, and we weren't warned in proper time, so we kind of had to scramble at the end of the year to get all of our ducks in a row for next year. My husband is a special ed and mental health professional, so like this is like his specialty. And you know, I am like manically trying to understand this world from the lens of a parent, because it used to be through the lens of my husband, from him just like telling me about work and stuff. And I just felt so disappointed. You know, my daughter is very much so snuggly, needs attention, needs hugs, needs definitely babying. Like she still sucks her thumb. And she was put this year upcoming with the one male teacher. And while I love him, my son had him and he was perfect for my son. I just couldn't fathom how they could put her with him. And they fixed it, but I had to call and I had to advocate for her. And I felt like I was like kind of fighting against the tide a little bit. And full transparency, absolutely sobbed on the phone with the principal, because it just triggered this memory in me that like I'm ill-equipped to handle that. I am not ready to be everything for everyone all at once. Like this was supposed to be my husband's part. You know, so the call, I said my piece, and then the principal said his understanding of why she was put in the class that she was in, and I, you know, listened, and I said I understand. And you know, at the end of the explanation, I just said, I hear you. I understand that you are very well versed in this. I am not comfortable with that. I need her to have one of the female teachers. And it just like I said to him, you know, I'm telling him why. And I had a laundry list beyond just that she needed someone who could hold her and hug her. You know, it's having to say out loud to someone who I want to respect me and I want to take me seriously. And I don't want him to pity me, and I don't want him to pity my kids, to say, this year is going to be hard. There is a very high chance this year my husband passes away. There's a 70% chance over the next 9 to 12 months, my husband is going to die. And I have so much worry. I worry about my kids. I worry about my husband. I'm going to have so much worry at home. I need the school to be a place where I don't have to worry. And like, it's just so hard to say out loud the reality of the statistics and the reality of what our life is going to look like. And it just felt like such a slap in the face, not from them. It had nothing to do with them. I hate saying it out loud. Like, we talk frequently about when he passes. He says, when I die. I say, when you die, because we're preparing for that. But it's hard to say it to someone who's not in it. And it's hard to prepare for that. And it's hard to say, I'm so scared, and should my husband die this year, I need my daughter to feel safe at school with someone who can comfort her. And he's saying, you know, I understand. This teacher is very nurturing, which he is. You know, he raised daughters. That's great. It's just hard to advocate because I don't want this to happen. And I think a year ago, I wouldn't have cared who she got. And I just ended the phone call and I said to him, I'm so sorry that I'm crying. And he was so sweet about it. But it's just, I just am so worried. And I just worry for her. I worry for my sons. And I just hated today because it's just a reminder of what is to come, and that as these road bumps happen, that I have to navigate them by myself. And I just am so sad for my kids. And it's nothing about the school. Our school is absolutely phenomenal. But it just is these little things. A class assignment. Who would ever think it would send me into a spiral? But it does. It's the things you never think will that just make you totally incapacitated with grief. And you know, I'm at work while I'm doing this, so I stepped away and I did the phone call and I'm crying and take a breath. I wipe my tears and I walk back into the restaurant and I'm smiling and I'm talking to my staff and I'm making jokes and I'm pretending, and the whole time I want to crawl under my covers and die. But I can't. So I smile and I say it's fine. And I'm thanking the principal that he fixed it. And I feel guilt that I made him maybe put him in an uncomfortable situation. I feel guilt that maybe that was the right place for her to be, and I'm overstepping and I don't know what the future holds, and maybe this year he'll be fine. Sorry, I said my husband's name. Maybe he'll be fine and this will all be for nothing. And I don't know. I just know nothing. I'm scared of everything. I worry about everything. I can't control anything, and I feel like I'm advocating in the best of my heart, but I also wonder if it's for nothing. So it's just one of those days where, what am I doing? Like, I don't know. I know that I owe you guys one more last piece of the update, and I will give you guys that very soon. But I was just thinking about something, and like OG followers will remember, and it just makes me laugh now. And it, like, I think back to where I was at the time when I posted this, And like, we're just in such a different headspace, and our family dynamics are different and everything. But remember when I thought the keto diet was gonna cure his glioblastoma, and we were like, we're going keto? We're not keto. We are actually the furthest thing from it. It didn't stick. And it obviously doesn't cure glioblastoma. But like, looking back, like, I know I was grasping and desperate for anything to help, but like, I thought that taking sugar out was gonna like stop this. Okay, I put makeup on and real clothes for the first time. Basically, makeup since we went to the Cape in July, and real clothes in God only knows how long. So I'm trying to get myself out of this rut. I know that I've said this before, but our kids are definitely struggling. And now I'm starting to notice some changes in our 3-year-old, which is tough because he's too young for therapy. I know that people are going to say play therapy. We've done that before, and I just don't really see the benefit in it. And he's too young for talk therapy, obviously. But like, for example, last night he just couldn't sleep. He was up all night long. He was crying. And he's never like that. And I've been starting to notice him stirring more at night and just have a harder time. And it's just devastating. But I am determined to create normalcy. We're going to go down the street to our neighbors who are our close friends with a bunch of our other friends. I don't think that my husband will come. Maybe he will, because it's right down the street. It's just a couple houses down. But it's important for my kids to be with their friends. And I have been struggling so much and really depressed and just have really become reclusive and just wanted to be with my kids and my husband. And while that might feel good for me, I don't think that that's good for me. So, that being said, I am making a change. It is starting today. I am going to start getting dressed. I am going to probably not put makeup on because I don't really wear makeup very often unless I'm going somewhere, but I need to become more social again. I used to be like the most social human on this planet, and the past month I have basically declined 98% of all offers, and my kids need to be with their friends. So, hold me to it. Today, I am adjusting my perspective, and I'm making a point to get out of my depression and do this for my family. So, that being said, happy Saturday. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I'm going to have a fantastic day.
The signs were there.
Hello. I was thinking a lot today about the different videos that I've posted and the different things I've talked about. And while they're all authentic and true, they are quite melancholy, if you will. And I feel like a lot of it is like, woe is me. This is going to be so hard for me. How am I going to navigate all this stuff for me? And I like feel like I've forgotten like the root reason of why all of that really does make me sad. And I wanted to talk about that. And it really is more of like why I'm obsessed with my husband and how my fear of him passing is like the cause of all of these like, woe is me, feel sorry for me, this is gonna be hard for me. So my husband is like my perfect opposite. Like when people say that opposites attract, like obviously we have common interests and stuff like that. But when people say that opposites attract, like that is me and my husband to a T. And like while it might not show it here, I am very outspoken, very impulsive, emotionally driven. I have absolutely no filter in a good and a bad way. I don't take boundaries very well. And like I fly off the cuff, in not in like a violent way, obviously, but just like if I feel something, like I'm gonna say it. Sometimes it gets me into trouble. Sorry. But my husband is like processing. I see it as puttering, but he is processing everything. He is listening. He is thinking about every side, every angle. He's always devil's advocate, as much as it literally kills me. He's so thoughtful in his decisions. He's the most ethical human on this entire planet. Like, every single decision that he makes is based on his code of ethics, and it's like so respectful. I cannot even handle it. And then like the social piece of it, like, we're both very social, but I don't know how to be alone. I need to be with my friends 24/7, with my family, with someone. I'm either talking to people, texting, whatever. He is like content being alone. He knows when to tell me we're heading out, pack it up. I don't know that. You know, and so it's like nice to have that like other piece of just like, it's okay to be like solo. It's okay to be independent, and you don't have to like be codependent on your friends and your family 24/7. And like, while all those things are what make us such a great team, and we push each other to be better and whatever, I think that the two things that, should the time ever come where he passes, that I'm going to miss the most are, one, he's taught me how to be a good partner. Like, he's taught me how to be vulnerable and, you know, okay with like relying on someone else. Like, I was never okay with it. I'm still not good at it. How to like ask for help and all these things that he's, through our relationship, taught me. And like, now I'm just like, ugh, what a waste. Like, you don't even get to like live in like the fruits of your labor. Like, you've given me so much, and like, I don't get to like show that to you and share that with you. And I think that's one of the things I'm going to miss, is being able to like show him how wonderful he's been to me, and like, he can enjoy that. And I think that bums me out big time. But the thing that I love about him the most, and when I think of times where we won't be together anymore, like the thing that breaks my heart the most, is like at the end of the night, being together, like either laying in bed or like watching a show or just like hanging out in the kitchen, and me recapping my day. I work in the restaurant industry, so like every single second of my day is absolute chaos. It is totally insane, and I see the most unhinged things. And then like in my private life, like everything that happens to me is bizarre. Like, I'll explain someday, but like the people I run into at the grocery store are bizarre. Like, just everything that happens to me is like a joke. I swear to God, I'm on a prank show. And I love like telling him and like recapping all of the insane things that happen to me every single day, and him just like absolutely roasting me and like teasing me about it, and just like always telling me that I bring it upon myself because I'm such a busybody, nosy person, that of course the universe has like bombarded me with these bizarre situations because I have like put that energy out into the universe. And I just love like the teasing that he does. It just cracks me up, like crying, laughing every single night, where he's like, what is wrong with you? How can all these things happen to you? And like, that is my favorite time of day, is like sitting down and like going through all that stuff. And it's just like such a bummer that I think that one day that might not be the case. So that is there's no point to this video except just to say, like, yes, I feel sorry for myself, and like, yes, I'm scared about how my life is going to change and like how hard it's going to be for me. But I know that like truly at the end of the day, I'm just so scared that all of these wonderful things from this like phenomenally perfect man who has given me more than I can ever thank him for, like, might not be here to like see all of that. So those are a couple of things about my wonderful husband. I don't feel like I talk about him enough besides like the medical stuff, and I just wanted to like share that piece because he's so great. And anyone that knows him loves him. And people who are on here who don't know him, like I hope that that gives you like some insight as to like why this is so devastating for me and for his friends and his family and stuff, because he's like literally the best human on this entire planet. So love you.
On Emily Long's last TikTok video, she talks specifically about the toddler that she spared their life. While I don't think that it provides any answers, it's just really interesting. And no, I don't think we're ever going to be able to make sense of this decision. That's not how depression works. But I'm going to play that for you.
Our kids are definitely struggling. And now I'm starting to notice some changes in our 3-year-old, which is tough because he's too young for therapy. I know that people are going to say play therapy. We've done that before, and I just don't really see the benefit in it. And he's too young for talk therapy, obviously. But like, for example, last night he just couldn't sleep. He was up all night long. He was crying. He's never like that. And I've been starting to notice him stirring more at night and just have a harder time. And it's just devastating. I am determined to create normalcy. We're going to go down the street to our neighbors who are close.
She goes on to talk about how she wants to try to make herself get back into a normal routine for her family. And then shortly thereafter, we know how the story ends. If you'll also remember, the toddler was just found kind of like roaming the property. So again, definitely don't really understand the reasoning, or I don't know. We're not going to. It's a terrible, terrible, hard situation.
She was online with poor me's, poor me's, poor me's. She unalived her whole family except her toddler, whom I believe she left alive just because the toddler wouldn't be able to tell it like it really is and how she really was. She don't want the public to know what she was like behind closed doors. She had a complete and total page devoted to negative and how her life sucked. I feel bad for her family, not for her. The only victims are her family. Do not think you're doing yourself a favor by posting videos on social media, talking about your problems. Please get a therapist. Please seek out help. Don't let this happen to you, what happened to her.
Because her husband was battling brain cancer and she didn't know how they were going to survive without him, she decided to take his life, take their 2 children's life, and take her own life. Police are still investigating the motive behind this murder-suicide. It could be money, it could be the stress of her husband's brain cancer, or it could just be a psychotic break. Let's not even act like she spared that toddler, okay? That toddler was in the house alone for 12 hours. They could have easily gotten into something that could have killed them. So in her TikTok, she talked a lot about like grieving her marriage and still being in it and becoming a single mother and living off of one income. And she was acting like she had no family. Y'all, she had an entire support system behind her. And that 3-year-old that she spared, yeah, that child was handed over to family right away. She also said things like, oh, I know I need help. I hope I get it before it's too late. So the police don't want anybody speculating, but what they have released is, besides her husband's brain cancer diagnosis and the stress that it took on their marriage, there was also a lot of financial problems. And it wasn't just her becoming a single mom and being on one income. They are alluding to something much bigger. And regardless of why she did it, I want to make this very clear. Just because she was suffering, that did not give her the right to annihilate her entire family. She selfishly took the lives of her family members, and she left her one surviving child to grieve for the rest of their life.
Emily Long's case is a chilling reminder that tragedy can twist into horror. What started with her husband's terminal cancer ended in the unthinkable, the murder of her entire family. Sometimes the greatest danger comes from those closest to us. What do you think? Was this pure despair or something darker? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories.